Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Thursday on this beautiful February the 20th. Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wangler. I did forget to turn my TV on this morning. Let's let's do that, shall we? Oh, there we go.
I like seeing the half of the quarter of the sports highlights playing in the background. I feel like
I
I can
hey, you know what?
somewhat tell what's going on.
I mean, do I need to really put the full screen on there? I just think it's nice to have it. I mean, I'm actually going to be redoing this area here. I just haven't had a chance to. I mean, to put things in perspective for those of you at home, we're fast growing. We talked about that. Going into January, we had 47 people that worked for us last year. As of this moment right now, I believe I was just looking at the numbers this morning. We have 122 people on in our system ready to take on opportunities. Right. So, and that's not counting the, I think 7 or 10 more additional people that we've got coming with interviews, and I mean it's every day we've just got more and more. So it's really really cool. And the more and more we talk with people, the more and more and share what we're doing, the more people get excited. Um, I was just telling this to Bianca the other day, Nathan. I was telling you too. Like I'm getting pulled in so many different directions. It's hard to really kind of, I think, grasp what all this looks like. And I'm behind the scenes trying to also, create, a lot of things that just kind of like workflows and processes that will alleviate a lot of the backflow, right? The possibility of where there could be roadblocks or slow us down. Um, so there's a lot of really cool things in that regard. But what I want to do here real quick this morning is, yesterday, this past weekend we did the MASL game, and part of what we're doing right now is we're selling ad space. And as you could imagine, we have a website, right? Well, we've got two national advertisers right at the top of our website now that weren't there a week ago. Right. And one of these is really cool. So Spectrum VoIP is really more of a business end solution, right? So if you are a business owner, if you're a club and you're looking for a phone solution for your business, this is it. VoIP is voice over internet protocol. That's what VoIP stands for. So if you didn't know that now you do. But they're a company that provides that voice over internet protocol. So you plug your phone into the internet, and you have a phone line, right? And so they specialize in that along with equipment. So that's what they specialize in. And if you mention that you found them on our website, you'll get 2 months free of your service. So, which it could be hundreds of dollars, to be fair. You can be, depending on how big your organization is. On the other side of this is Salt. Now, Salt, their product is really cool, like really cool, right? They create these products that are designed to. I'm going to change the page because now we're going to other advertisers, which, by the way, you can go to those too if you want to. But they offer this. It's called an Aerocase cleat bag, right? So you put your cleats in it, and it locks the smell of your cleats inside the bag, so that if you're there in your car doesn't smell like ass, right? If you're in your car and you have you're a
Have
goalkeeper,
fun when you open it, but yeah.
yeah. So it's really really cool. And again, I want to find, here we go. This is their website, right? So it's called Salt Athletic, and again, that's the case. It's patented technology. Don't just tolerate the odor, block it. I love it, right? And smelly cleats spread bacteria, fungus, and decomposing biological. Wow, I did not know the decomposing biological matter aspect of this, but that's pretty gross. But anyways, you can tell again, it's all about creating this thing, and this is a perfect partner for us in what we do, right? We are talking about being in front of soccer parents, players, fans, and if you are, a quote unquote soccer goalkeeper or soccer player, these bags are designed for you, and you can use the promo code NSN10, and that will get you the savings of 10% off of these products. So, you can see here, this one's $39. and you save $4. Now, if it's the $4, it's still $4. I mean, that's a coffee, maybe a grande coffee at Starbucks. Maybe it's maybe it's 5 coffees at Tim Hortons. I don't know. I think Tim Hortons is on the cheaper, but that kind of puts things in perspective. So Salt Athletic, you can use the promo code NSN10 on at checkout, and you'll save that 10% off. I figured that we would kind of talk about that a little bit this morning. But yeah, that is a new partner of ours. We've got a whole lot more coming down the pipe. I was just telling you, Nathan, off the air that we're working on that right now, and we're excited about it. So.
Yeah, you talked about it being perfect. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people that, we talk about soccer players or soccer fans. Like, where would they gravitate towards? Well, obviously there's, they like everything that everybody else likes, right? And food, entertainment, all that other stuff. But I have never heard of this technology of keeping the smell in the bag. And I mean, this is someone that, I played sports too. I think we've all been there. And, unfortunately, everybody else around us has had to sometimes put up with that grotesque looking bag of equipment that we bring into the bag. Good morning, everybody. What's up, Jimmy? So everyone's had to deal with that in one way or another. So that is perfect. That works out well for not for me, because I'm not an athlete, but again, we are targeting those who are, in that realm, in that sphere. So if there's one thing that can help you cut down on that, I think that's something that parents, if anything, we get more excited about. Yeah, the kids might be excited about it, but I think it's mom and dad who have to drive them home after the games that are probably the most excited about having technology that can cut down on that a little bit. So they're a great, perfect sponsor for us.
Well, and if you think about it too, right? I mean, and more so today than ever. Back when I was playing, the turf fields were coming into the equation. They weren't necessarily, the full as they are now. And back then it was, you were on grass fields and it would be raining and it would be muddy, right? So now you have that component to it. Right now you can maybe not as many players are in that muddy scenario, right? Maybe as they used to be. But they are definitely in the rainy, rubbery pellet field, right? Of turf land.
Yeah.
And those pellets can go everywhere, right? So I can tell you that at least if these shoes are in that kind of a bag, well, obviously you're protecting the odor, but those pellets aren't getting into your house either, right? They're inside the shoes, inside the bag, and then ultimately you take the shoes out, maybe dump all the contents of the bag out on the ground. So that would be, something that'd be pretty, that I think is very useful as well. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about that for a moment this morning. We're working hard behind the scenes trying to get advertisers to become partners with us on our platform, and Salt Athletic is one of those partners. And we're excited about this partnership and what it means to not only us as an organization, but also to our fans and our audience. So keep an eye out for more information about that. You'll be able to see a lot of this on our social media as well as on our website. So we're really excited about that, and more importantly, we're able to pass on those savings of 10% onto our viewers, right? And that's something that's also, I think, beneficial as well. It's Thursday. It is February the 20th. We are getting closer towards the business end of this fall, this winter month season. I mean, we're only it's hard to believe it, but like less than a month away, I think, from spring officially being spring. I think the 21st of March is the first day of spring. So 20th, 21st, somewhere in there. So we're not far away, man, from the warmer weather, which means for us, it becomes our nonstop busy season, right? And so we're obviously got a lot going on in that realm. But Nathan, we talk about Thursdays being Throwback Thursdays, right? That's what we talk about. And yesterday, my wife was cleaning out the basement with my daughter and came across a picture, like one of the team pictures from when I was a senior in high school. And she's like, "Do you want to keep this?" And I said, "No, just throw that away. I don't need it. What am I going to use with it? I'm not going to hang it anywhere, and just get rid of it. It's just it's clutter. I don't think about it. I don't review it. I mean, there may be moments in my life, Nathan, where I'm like, yeah, okay, I think about it for a second, but maybe for a split second. But she threw it away. Now she took a picture of it first, so and I don't have that picture yet. I think maybe she did actually take a picture. Maybe I do have it here. Hang on, because I think I did tell her to take it with my phone. So I think she did take it with my phone. She
Mm-hmm.
did. Holy crap. Let's share this picture right now. Now, it's a really bad picture. My wife, this was not the best picture she's ever taken, but um that's okay. So I'm gonna I'll share this here. Let me get it open first. Man,
Doing good.
what a good looking guy this guy is. But we're gonna put it on the screen here. Hang on here. Let's find it. There it is. And here we go. Okay, so this is Throwback Thursday at its finest. Look at this, man. This is
Ooh.
1999. All right, that's my 1999. So I'm a senior in high school. Right? This is and look at that guy. Look at that guy. Look at that guy. That's me. Don't worry about this guy here. He was my arch nemesis right there, our backup goalkeeper trying to take my job. So we don't talk about him. But that's me, man. That's me from 1999.
Wow. So you guys went straight face then. I don't see any smiles in there. That's something that you coordinate beforehand.
Yeah.
You look ready to ready to
battle. Ready to battle.
It's good. Hey man, I like the attitude. That's funny. I've never seen young JT before. That's interesting. You don't look that scrawny or little. You were downplaying how you called yourself, you're what was it, 100 and 140, 150 soaking wet. You look
I don't know how much I weighed, but I was skinny. I was skinny, and it's okay. I mean, but I lacked in size, I made up for in passion. But or stupidity, whatever you want to call it. But I was thinking about this, right? And, and there's a scene in The Office where Ed Helms is saying something it's the last episode of The Office, like ever. And he's like, I wish, you always say, oh man, I remember the good old days, right? The good old times, right? And it's like, I remember he's like, I wish you would realize that you were in the good times, the good old times when you were in them versus looking back and saying, with and having that thing, right? And it's true, right? If you think back about like the good old days, and for everybody that could be different, but you look back at your high school years, your college years, right? These memories, and I have a lot of them. I have a lot of memories playing at the high school level, the right out of high school, and the kind of like the amateur kind. At that point, it was just just adult soccer. But I have these memories of playing back in the day, in the good old days, and they're there, but they're not something I constantly am thinking about, right? But it's
something you take with you.
Yeah, and that's why I think that when we talk about this too, Nathan, like when we talk about like the fact that I want to just close this up because now it's still in my face. We talked yesterday about the money side of this. Right, we talked about the money aspect and how many kids are playing soccer in this country on a yearly basis. 3 million kids, right? And there's a component to this where you're trying to go to the next level. But we really didn't dive into like the emotional component of being a part of something like this. Being on a team. Yes, we kind of, I think we kind of surface touched it a little bit, but I don't think we dove into that. I can tell you this as a player who played both club, high school, and played at a high level for most of my childhood. I can tell you that I don't remember most of the games, if any of the games. I don't remember them. I don't remember them at all. I remember us in Lexington, Kentucky at a Marriott hotel driving golf carts on the golf course, hitting golf balls and playing golf, and then off-roading the golf cart in the woods and breaking the golf cart. Like, I remember that.
Yeah.
They're not four wheels, by the way.
I remember ding dong ditching our science teacher. Yeah, freshman year. Like,
yeah,
that's and that's the other side of the conversation that we were. I know we talked about the financial side yesterday, but the memories that are created, and again, it's through that brotherhood and through that friendship that you create with the guys around you, and that's why team building and learning how to work with people are so important in sports. That's why I think for youth development, it is about getting them to the next level. It is about getting better, but I feel like the minute we make it all about the individual athlete getting to that next level, you kind of get away from that other side because there's so many stressors and so many burdens on your shoulders that you're not really focused on maybe some of the memories that can be created. And this is something that, and my dad's asked me, because he used to coach my teams when I was younger, and sometimes he'll ask, if we ever talk about those days. Speaking of middle school, this isn't even high school, this is middle school. And I can tell him with all confidence in the world, yeah, I don't remember a lot of the games either, but I can assure you that all the guys, and again, the picture's right over my left shoulder right there. That's my, my middle school team. My dad's right there in the middle in the picture. I can tell you, if we ever get together, all of us, and I'm still best friends with one of the guys in that picture. I don't see a lot of them anymore simply because we've gone our different ways, but we can sit down around a fire and just wax poetic about different memories of playing together once upon a time. And then that's what made it really special was the fact that, it was middle school. So there were politics and there weren't really many political interests in terms of, if All Saints Academy went out and won this football game against whoever. But it was simple. It was fun. And the memories that we created were the things that lasted a lifetime. Like, did we win the city championship? No. But then again, who cares down the stretch? We can still sit around and again, just talk for days about the memories that we created in that stretch and this play or that play or this experience. We used to play, touch football at the end of every practice. I felt like that was the most fun thing we ever did. So that's the part about that I think sometimes gets lost in the sauce when we talk about youth athletics is a lot of times we're so focused on player development that we forget that honestly, sometimes the most important part are the memory aspects. And I actually got it right back here. This is also when I was in middle school, but I have to respect their willingness to kind of understand that this would be a big moment for us down the line. But this is also a baseball signed by every single one of those guys in that picture that I actually played baseball with as well. So we got all of our names. It's kind of, you can't really see it on the screen, but they're all on there. And so I hold on to this, I hold on to that picture. And a lot of the reasons is because that's what kind of inspired me to stay in sports, to stick around in sports. And I feel bad for those kids who have bad experiences that maybe have good athletic gifts and that are just like, I'm burnt out. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm going to try to explore other avenues in life, because to me, the sports experience, yeah, it was a roller coaster and I had bad moments and bad performances and whatever. But at the end of the day, I just remember the memories so fondly that to me, sports was always something I could go to feel better. Sports was always something I could go to escape. I also miss it as an emotional outlet too, to be honest with you, JT, because nowhere else in life can you exercise the same, at least in some of the sports that I played, rugby, football, where you can exercise the same amount of violence legally. Like you can't do that anymore. I can't just haul off and hit people in my daily life. I go to jail now, but back then, when you're playing with your friends and you're going out smacking people, that there's just so many aspects about the game. And I knew I wasn't going to play college early on, JT. I mean, I was a 5'9" offensive lineman. Like, nowhere in the world does that translate.
Rudy was 5'0", 100 nothing. I mean, he did it. Why couldn't you do it?
Yeah.
Did you not have the perseverance and the grit? I mean, like,
no, I didn't want to get kicked around by guys who are 6'7", but hey, if you go back to the 1950s, 5'9" wasn't a bad size. But anyways, I guess
you didn't have the heart, man. You just didn't have the heart, did you, there, Nathan Wingru?
Yeah, that's that. Yes, you got it.
Real quick, I'm not trying to cut you off, but I mean, you think of this, right? Okay, like there's certain people's names that are just like their name alone just makes you want to get behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, the guy's name was Rudy. I mean, like. And it wasn't like they made that after he, huh?
It's easy to root for Rudy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like that name. It's like almost he was the name that when parents were naming him, they're like, man, one day he's gonna be hoisted by the Notre Dame football team off of the field, right? And they're gonna be yelling his name, Rudy. That's what like they envisioned that by when they named that kid. You know what I mean? Like it's like, come on now, man. Like, think about this, right? Now, Tom Brady That name's not like destined for greatness. But Rudy was. It's like it's a great name. I don't know. Anyways. Back to what you're saying. The gentleman that lacked heart and size and will. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. Rudy was born in Joliet, Illinois, by the way, man, and they're freaking Notre Dame fans are crazy, dude. It's like generations after generations. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could have tried to walk on at Michigan. I don't know how that would have panned out. It's funny though. I did have a buddy who played at Forest Hill Central. His offensive lineman. I actually ended up going to a camp at Michigan. He's a few inches taller than I am. I think he's 5'11", maybe on the brink of 6 foot. And he ended up doing a couple of drills, and I mean, he looked really good. And I'll never forget this. And it's not even my memory, but Jim Harbaugh walks up to him and he goes, "Man," he goes, "if you were 3 inches taller, I'd bring you to Ann Arbor." And then he walks away. Oh, you have all the athletic gifts in the world, kid. But if you were just a little taller, you could play at this level. Sorry.
I don't know. I just envision this from you at Michigan. I envision the towel boy. At Michigan. Yeah. I envision this.
And then I get my call because of injuries. Oh man, the water boy has to suit up. Let's go. Oh,
I walked on it at Michigan. The towel boy.
I was on the sidelines, man. It's all that matters.
No, to be fair, it's true. It does not matter. I mean, that's what happened with
there.
So I when we talk about memories, and being that it is Throwback Thursday, we look back at these moments in our lives, and as you get older, you don't realize what moments are going to be the most impactful or not. You think that tournament that you won or that you lost could be that moment, and in fact, it was something that happened before, after, or surrounding it that maybe has more of a lasting impact on you. And that's what I want to ask this question of you, right? Because to the viewer at home, to the moms and dads, to whoever's involved in the sports world, right? Like, could you look back and go, man, envision like this, I'm going to remember this the rest of my life. And are those moments the ones that really, when you think about it back then, still have that reverence where you're like, yeah, that moment I said it was going to be with me the rest of my life, I still remember it very vividly? Or are there other moments that you think have more impact? Because we get so caught up in what we think is going to be lasting. And to be fair, it's not really the thing that sticks with us the rest of our lives, at least from my perspective. The smaller things that I remember winning a state championship and that feeling of running onto the field. And I to be fair, I can still smell the field. That is so ingrained in my brain. But to be fair, I have memories of sitting around a living room with all the players on couches eating lollipops or blow pops and Sour Patch Kids and pizza, watching Braveheart. Had nothing to do with the game. I mean, what it did, because we were doing it as a team bonding, but we were doing that leading up to the big game. And that memory to me is just as vivid. Like, I can smell the pizza. I can smell it. We had it was Hungry Howie's.
Right.
I can just as much as me running onto a field, and that I didn't play in, by the way.
Yep.
And then hoisting a trophy at the end of that game, right? So I'm curious. Do you look back and say, there's obviously some very vivid memories that for sure are like lasting in my brain.
Yeah.
But ones that you didn't go like that. Why is that there? Like, that should not be as big of a deal in my brain as the other thing.
Yeah. I 100%. I remember going to a state championship. Yeah, I remember the big ones. Going up north, playing Menominee in the Uperdome. And, we ran a fake punt late in the game. We ended up winning it. I remember that. I remember walking in the same locker room that Kelvin Johnson was in, that Barry
St. Well, again, what high school?
Grand Rapids West Catholic.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So they, being in that same locker room. I don't know, was Barry at Ford Field, or was he done
If he
before
was, it
Ford
would have
Field
been for
was
one
a thing?
season. What
One
year did you
season?
graduate?
I was 2015.
Okay. Just curious. Go ahead.
So yeah. So anyways, so the same locker room that Barry and Calvin and all those guys, walking into that same locker room out of the same tunnel, onto the field, and crossing Castech as they were coming off the field, and they had a guy named Donovan Peoples-Jones, who ended up playing at Michigan. Oh yeah, so I was not on the team at that. I was graduated at that point, but yeah, they beat River Rouge before they got it got a lot bigger. They actually added a lot of kids. I don't know if there was another public school that
So you graduated
closed
in
in Detroit.
2015. So then you would have been 2014 then.
14, my bad. Yeah, not 15, 14. Yeah, so this was the year directly after.
So did you but you were on that team. Did you guys go to the finals in 2014 as well?
14, yep, ended up making it. So it was a 5-year stretch that they ended up winning. They ended up winning all 5. So, but anyways, to get back to the point a little bit, I remember those things. Yeah, I do. I vividly remember those things. In the big moments, the big wins, all that stuff. What I will say that I remember more fondly, though, it's not those moments. And people normally think, that those are the ones that stick in your head the most. The one that I remember the most, JT, and it was so little and so insignificant, or what seemed so little and insignificant in the moment, to a lot of people. And I'm sure my dad probably doesn't even remember this, or some of the other people around it. We used to have a family. And there was a kid on our team whose family was very big into music, very big. And they all played instruments. They all, they're all involved in marching band or this, that, or the other thing in one way or another. They showed up to our middle school game, the dad and as well as one of the sons, and all they had was, and this was again a middle school game. They had, oh yeah, look at the old silver and green helmets.
Are you on this field at all or no?
Those were a solid look. Yeah, I'm somewhere in the mix, but on the line. So that's my best friend Charlie, though. You got that go route to score. Who's this?
O line or D line?
Oh, well, so that's Travis Russell. He ended up going on to play at Ferris State. Think he won a national championship. Do you know who that is, by the way, on the other side?
No.
I'll give you one guess who the quarterback is for Lansing Catholic. Think Dallas Cowboys.
It's not Tony Romo.
Cooper Rush.
Oh, really? Oh, crap.
Yeah, that was Cooper Rush. Yeah. Damn, man. So, yeah.
You're on the line?
Beating Cooper Rush. Yeah, I'm somewhere there. I'm the guy with the hand on the football.
Oh, you're the
so I'm somewhere there in the mix.
Are you 60?
No. No, I'm the guy right next to him. So the guy dragging down the other big guy.
Nice, man.
So, yeah. So anyways, but yeah, beat Cooper Rush. Isn't that cool? So that's interesting. Anytime I see him play for the Cowboys, I'm like, man, we played against him. He, they shared the same field with that dude. So, oh yeah. No, this is a nostalgia. And then this is, I think, the last play. Oh yeah, we got to pick to seal it.
Well, looky right there. Huh?
Crazy.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
They coach. Yeah, that's Dan Roan. Yeah, he's at Warren De La Salle now. So, and obviously he's won a couple of state championships with them. But Toledo, he's had to deal with Toledo a lot. Nonetheless, I know the Catholic school has opened their doors to Toledo-based teams. So it's been a dogfight. But anyways, this, as I was saying, this family that shows up to our games, they start playing because we went to All Saints Academy. So you got the dad with the trumpet, you got the son with the drums, and I remember we scored a touchdown. And on our way off the field, they started playing When the Saints Go Marching In. Trumpet, drums, that's it. And we're running off the field. It was in that moment that me and a lot of my friends are all kind of like, that gave us that feeling of it felt like we were playing on Saturday. It felt like we were playing, in one of the big games. We had just scored and now we're running off the field and our song's playing. That one little insignificant moment in 8th grade football is one of the things that I remember so distinctly about my experience there. Cause it was that one game where I felt like, wow, this is the real deal. It's not a full marching band. There's no 100,000 people there. But to me, that was a memory that sticks with me forever. And there's other goofy, insignificant memories. And honestly, sometimes it was the bad or embarrassing stuff that sticks with you more. There's a kid on our team that's never caught a ball. We sent him on a go route and it was right there and it just went right through his hands. And to this day, it's still one of the funniest things that we always reminisce on. So anyways, to wrap up this point, it's not always the big games or the big wins. It's sometimes the little insignificant crap. And that's why I always tell parents this. Realize that that's where the memories are made. The team dinners, the hangouts, the doing this or that, that's where it's done. And I all respect in the world, I have to say this, all respect in the world to my father for also realizing that. Because he would actually set time aside to make sure that we had the ability to do those things and just be boys. And that's what I remember the most about it.
For sure. So we took a look at your thing. So the same year, I want to put this in perspective. The same year that you are hoisting a state championship trophy, let me put this back in here. I am the state finals referee for Cranbrook versus East Lansing. And this is a call that I did not make. Right. So the ball's coming in and both player and goalkeeper go into the ball. And then the ball is cleared off the goal line and cleared away. Same time. Yeah. I'm curious.
So no call there, or is that incidental?
I did not call it a foul. So the way I looked at this as a referee in this moment, and this is where the thought process, or the ball's coming in, right? So as soon as this ball pops up, this makes this ball what we call a 50-50 ball, right? So both players have a right to go to the ball, right? Goalkeeper comes out, right? And he is going to play the ball, okay? Now, at that point, contact was going to happen whether the goalkeeper won the ball or not, right? That's how I looked at it. And both players collide, right? Goalie does not get the ball. Player does get the ball, but they both committed to it. So I felt that the contact was kind of null and void, even though the player had won the ball. You know what I mean? So yeah, I didn't call it PK there. And I'm sure.
I know we got film room. I know we got film room Friday coming up tomorrow, but that might be an interesting segment because there's someone that I follow on TikTok. I don't know what his actual name is. His tag is Maydog, but he's a referee, he's a basketball referee. So he'll go through and he'll do film reviews on certain things too. That's actually helped me out with my play-by-play a little bit. So it's interesting. I'd like to see the perspective on that. But so you did all state final games, or was it just the one game?
So it was so let's see here. I didn't do all the games. I just did that state final. All right. So that was the Division II state final at Brighton High School. Right. So as a matter of fact, this is actually this is cool. This is so because we're talking about Throwback Thursday. That's me right there. It's a really bad picture, but you can see these players going up for the ball. There's some kind of a highlight video of some kind that these players made of the excitement of winning, right? They don't have any. I thought they would have had made some highlights, but they just had like these still images.
East Lansing.
Huh. Yeah, but it was East Lansing. Yeah. So
did they have a good stretch of years there, I guess.
They did. Yeah, they were a good team, for sure. But yeah. But anyways, excuse me. They Yeah, that I remember that one very vividly. I remember, refereeing that game. For me, that was my first ever center referee in a state final. I had to that point I had done um, assistant referee roles where you're not in charge of the game, but you're an assistant. You're assisting the center referee, and I did that for a couple of years prior to that. And this was my first center referee moment, and it was cool, right? It's November. It's 25 degrees outside. Um, there's 3,000 fans there, just and everything's on the line, right? And you know this because you were at a football stadium where there's probably 10,000 people at the game, right? And granted, 10,000 people in Ford Field is almost like the equivalent of 3,000 people outdoors, right? In a smaller environment, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
probably the same kind of feeling because Ford
Mhm.
Field can seat 70,000 people. So
Yeah,
10,000
absorbs
people.
the sound too. The sound doesn't it reverberates in that place. It's like it's a house of horrors for marching bands too, because you can't hear a thing. It just absorbs everything that you're playing, but
Yeah.
by design though.
It's just, so it's the environment, right?
Mhm.
I don't think people realize either, and not every and the thing that sucks is that not every kid goes through state championships, right? And what that's experienced like. So whether that be at the youth level, whether that be at the middle school or high school level, college level, national championships. But what takes place in these environments, right? You think about the typical game, a typical game day, on a Friday night, you get to the school maybe for a 7 o'clock game. You're getting there maybe at 4 o'clock. You're hanging out, relaxing. You're putting, stretching a little bit, getting into your headspace, and then maybe around between 5 and 5:30, you're making your way out to the field to kind of do some individual stretches, and you're going through a process, right? And then, hey, right an hour before the game, the whole team comes together, so let's do a team stuff, right? And then all these things. There might be some media stuff going on. There might be some of that, this, that, and the other, but it's a pretty standard type thing. But then you start going into you go through the playoffs. Playoffs are all kind of very similar to that. There's not much more that happens from the playoffs to the state semifinals. And then in the state finals, what happens? There's press conferences. There's bus rides to the facility where you're getting there maybe the night before. There's so much happening. There's so much involved, much more things that could be a distraction to a potential team or to an individual player, right? All these things are added on in a state final. So not only do you have to worry about the game, you're not got to worry about all the outside things that could have an influence or be a distraction to you and your team. And
Right.
there's nothing better to talk about on inside the game than this moment right now, right? Because these moments, this specific moment of being in that environment where more fans, more media, there's protocols where teams are
Yeah.
coming in and they're following a process that's different than they normally follow, right? There's extra steps, there's extra everything, there's extra security, like all these things. And
Mhm.
the average player, the average team has no idea really what it entails. And for you as a program who've been there 4 or 5 years in a row, my guess is that in year 1 when you went, there's a lot of shock and awe. In year 2, not as much shock and awe. In year 3, way less shock and awe. And in year 4, if you're going there for 5 straight years, you probably were there for 4 years in a row. When you get to the 4th year, you're kinda like Tom Brady. There's a nervousness because you want to go out. It's your last one, so there's a different added sense
Mhm.
of nervousness there, not because of the game itself, but because this is your last game, and there's something behind that. And so there's some excitement and nerves associated with that, but probably as a junior in that game, if you were there, probably one of the more relaxed games you probably were part of because you'd been there 2 years prior, you know what I mean? So there's this level of kinda like not
Yeah.
comfortability, but it's like a confidence because you don't have the distractions aren't distractions anymore. You're just used to it. It's like another game for you,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
the benefit of being in a place like that more than once, is you get to
And
experience that.
I was only there for the first 2, so I can't speak on the remaining of them. But I
Yeah.
was at West for the first 2. But what I will say is the coach Dan, he Dan Roan was always very big on this is just another game. This is a business trip. But I think we were kind of privileged or spoiled in that regard, the fact that we could just consider that. a quote business trip. And it's interesting because, you know, people always talk about, you know, the recruiting and all that stuff. And sometimes the private schools, you know, get the jump on that and whatnot. We didn't do a ton of that. I think it was just such a feeder and such a next man up. And there was such a culture around football, you know, at that school that's what kind of brought us to that point and got us there. So yeah, it became easier as we went, you know, but I don't think the nerves ever really truly went away. I think anytime you step on that field in that moment, and it really doesn't, you know, you could play a game at the Big House, you could play a game at Ford Field, like you step out there and you're like, this is the Mecca, like this is it, you know. And I know I'm only playing high school football, but two best teams in the state, and also you're on TV around the state of Michigan, you know, and that's the part about you talk about shining a light on the game and what we do. You want to know what the best part about that experience was? Being on TV. And, you know, to the kids, and especially when I was a sophomore, when I first got pulled up my first year when we played Portland. So we went 6 years in a row. Well, 6 out of 7 years we won 5 in a row. But the first year that we ended up going, we played Portland. And I remember I was on the sideline. I was a scout team player, right? I wasn't going to get any starting reps. You know, I was a guy that was running practice squad and this, that, and the other thing. I was on my way, but I wasn't starting. And I remember vividly, because I had watched so much football growing up, I knew where the camera was going to be. I knew it was going to be on Coach. Right? They were going to pan over to Coach multiple times. I knew where the certain angles during certain times, where they were going to get certain camera shots. So I remember watching that back, and I think I saw myself like 5 times. And I was always either standing by Coach or standing by someone else that was important, or just kind of, you know, like our offensive line coach, Mark Stedman, by the way, scariest man I've ever met in my life. He is a cop in Muskegon Heights. He is a former Grand Valley State offensive lineman. I would never cross that man. But he was talking to the O-line. You can see me in the background, kind of like peeking my head in, pretending like I'm listening. He's not talking to me. I'm not a part of that. But the truth is I got to get on TV. And so to me, when we go out and we cover these games and we bring our production value to wherever it is, high school, club, doesn't matter. If these kids have an understanding that they're not only on TV, but they have the opportunity to get interviewed and they have that exposure, we want to bring that into the game of soccer. Yeah, it's all around in football. I mean, like when you get to the state championship, like it feels like you're playing on a Saturday or playing on a Sunday because you got the media, you have the fans, you have the TV broadcast, and a quality broadcast at that. These are professionals. And so that's what football has. But then, you know, you go to soccer, and I wouldn't say it's crickets, but it's certainly not as much as what that is, you know. But that's why when we did what we did on state championship Saturday, that's why we do this, because we want to give these kids an opportunity to say, hey, I was on TV, you know, that it wasn't just me remembering this one highlight that I had. It's actually on tape. There's actually a call of it. You know, I actually got interviewed after the game. And that's, you know, in hindsight, looking back at it, that was the most exciting part for us when we got there, because we didn't have that all the way leading up to there. Now in the playoffs, that's one thing, you know, but in the regular season, you know, all respect in the world to the guys that did call our games, because I know that's where I got my start. You know, I was a sideline reporter, you know, for JV games and whatnot. But those guys, all it was just a Bluetooth connection and an audio broadcast. It was click on the link and listen to the broadcast. That's what it was. And so when we finally got to the state championship, we understood that even after that game, there would be a full TV broadcast that would be made available to us that we can go back and watch anytime. And it's still there. And so for us, that's why focusing on the youth levels in high schools and all this other stuff is awesome, because if I can provide that one memory for that kid, I feel like I've made a lifetime worth of memories. Because again, a lot of them are not. We talked about it yesterday, JT, 2% go on to play college sports. In a fraction of that percentage, go on to play professionally.
I don't know.
Soccer. Well, across all sports, I think it's like 5% across all sports, 5-6%. So it's still not that much more. But there's a pretty good chance that they're not going to go on to play every single day on a Saturday or every single, Sunday or whatever. So to provide them that exciting moment in quality coverage and put them on TV and send them those highlights or something that they can watch back, that's a lifetime right there. And so that's why, to me, this product is so important, because I want to be able to make sure that other people can feel and experience that same thing that I did, because I know not everybody has the privilege of being a part of a program that does stuff like that. That's obscene. That ties the most consecutive state championships in state history. East Grand Rapids is the only other team that's had 5 straight. So we got to experience that a lot. But how do we expand that out in order to try and give everybody a piece of the pie? Now, everybody is a bit of a stretch. That's not possible. But at the very least, we can try. We can try our best to give everybody else an opportunity to feel that same feeling. That's why I think what ties in to what we're doing.
No, I mean, obviously that's one of the reasons why, we created this. I mean, that the thing for me was, we talk about shining a light on the game, then that's what we're doing, right? Football, basketball, baseball, hockey have all had that light shined on them, shined, whatever, for many, many years. Soccer is one of those things that has never really had the coverage. And that's why, for me, when I'm like, hey, well, we can certainly go after other sports, and we can, and we probably will. But right now our focus is on soccer. And because it is a sport that is under recognized around the country at the lower levels, at the high school, at the collegiate, at the youth, amateur, they're all undercovered. So we want to do that. We want to do that in spades, and we are doing that in spades. I also think too, Nathan, this is, we talk about like the memories and the moments for what they are. I think it's important to have that message, not to all the players. I think, on some level probably understand that, they're going to have these memories, but there's also that comes with it, the bad memories, right? There are bad memories.
Mhm.
And we talked about referee abuse. We talked about kind of how parent behavior on the sidelines, but do you really want your child to remember the bad stuff that you did on a sideline at a game?
That also
Right?
lasts
I
forever.
mean, those
Yep.
things aren't going to go away. I'm telling you this right now. My son was playing in a T-ball game. I talked about this a few weeks ago. I'll never forget the coach and a parent having, like, these 2 parents, like, getting into a pushing match at a T-ball game out on the first base line. Now, if I'm not gonna forget that, I'm an adult. You don't think these kids are gonna remember that? Right? I mean, there's the good, then there's the bad, and of course, I would like to think that most people are going to remember the good over the bad. I hope so. I really do. But think about that. My parents, and I love my parents very much. They were great growing up. They put me in every position possible to be successful in anything that I wanted to be successful in. They invested in me. But do you know what I remember the most? I remember coming off the soccer field and my mom asking me a question as to why I didn't do something well. Right? Like, I remember that. I don't remember the, "Hey, John, how are you doing? Great game, John." I remember the, "Why didn't you make that save?" And it's nothing against my mom. Nothing against her. She didn't mean any harm by it. She was just trying to figure out what happened. But as an athlete coming off the field, the last thing that I wanted to be asked was what I did, what you did wrong. And those moments stick with you. And that's why I would encourage parents, as part of my process as a coach, was to say, hey, when you see your son or daughter for the first time after a game, don't ask them questions that could be
Mhm.
geared towards the negative side of their game. Don't berate them about playing time right after a game, because that's going to stick with them.
Mhm.
It's going to have a negative impact on them.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not one to sit here
Yeah.
and say that that doesn't hold me back. Like, those things don't hold me back, but they're memories I remember. And if I remember
Yeah.
them, I can bet you that a ton of athletes out there are remembering these moments where mom or dad driving home from the games, like, what happened there? And here you are
Mhm.
going, and you're already pissed off you lost. You're already pissed off you missed the opportunity. Now someone's reminding you of it, and it's not like, the random person on the street, it's your mom or dad, right?
And those ones I feel like hurt a little bit more.
Well, they
And it'd
do.
be
And
one
again,
thing
I
if
don't and again, my
yeah.
mom or dad, they didn't mean anything by it.
Yeah,
My mom
absolutely.
was my
Right.
mom was just my mom loved me. My mom asked me
Mhm.
to be fair, I mean, I used to give my mom note cards of what questions she could ask because it
Mhm.
got to a point where it was like, "You're asking me too many questions, so here's the questions you can ask me." I gave her, like, a note card. These are the questions you can ask. Everything else is off limits. But that's the stuff that stuck with me.
Mhm.
And I can't remember the compliments.
Mhm.
I just
Mhm.
can't.
Yeah.
I can
Yep.
remember after my senior year, so it was senior year, not after, but during my senior year, we were in the playoffs, and anyone that knows in high school soccer and in high school football, when you get into the playoffs, there's something called districts, there's regionals, and then there's the semifinals and finals. That's not different in football. District, it goes, it just goes a little differently, but it's the same thing. But in districts, right? It's our first district game. My first district game as a starting goalkeeper as a senior. I'd watched it happen 3 years prior. We're playing against a team that's very, very good, Utica Eisenhower. We've actually covered Utica Eisenhower as on our network many times,
Mhm.
and our game goes into a shootout. Goes into a shootout, so we're tied in overtime. And back in that day, if you scored a goal in overtime, it was golden goals. So if you scored, game was over. Not anymore. That's changed. Um, Gets into overtime. And then we end up staying tied, and it goes into penalty shots. And I am someone as a goalkeeper that I loved PKs. I loved them. It was my chance to shine. It was 1v1. I loved those moments. And most goalkeepers might say they don't like that, but I loved it. I loved those moments. They were fantastic. I enjoyed them because it gave me a chance to prove to the world who I was, and stand tall. Right. That was what I liked about those moments. We're off the field, Nathan, and we're by our team benches, and I see the other team's player, one of the best players in the state of Michigan, and he is practicing his penalty shot in the goal while we're all talking. He's literally practicing it. And one of my teammates was like, "What is he doing?" I go, "I don't know, but that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know why you'd be taking your penalty shots like in front." And he was going the same way every time. And part of me was like, "Okay, so is he doing this to be deceptive? Is he going that way on purpose? Is he going this way? What is he doing? Is he?" Yeah, it was the same way the whole time. And is it a mind game? So, I step up, into the moment, and I'm looking at his eyes. And as a goalkeeper, I can tell you that things have changed, I'd imagine, in soccer. But back then, you were looking at, for me, I was looking at a number of things. I'm looking at body language, right? So I'm looking at their eyes. I'm looking at how they're placing their body, right? How maybe their plant foot might go. I'm looking at those things so that I have a good idea of what way I would go when they shoot the ball. And a good rule of thumb was when a player looked walking up to the goal, when a player looked at a side of the net, more times than not, they would be going the opposite direction, right? So if they look into your right, they're going to your left, and vice versa. Again, more often than not. That's why as a coach, I would tell players, don't look at anything. Just walk up, look down at the ground, don't give the goalkeeper anything to look at, and just do your thing. And he looked to the way that he was shooting during those warm-ups. I'm going, okay, well, I think this guy is, I think he's trying, again, I think he's being deceptive. So I dove the way that I believed that was going to dive, and I made the save. And then there were there's 5 shots in penalty shootout. I saved 3 out of the 5, and we won that game. The team runs down, they get on top of me. My coach, who got really excited, actually broke his finger because he jumped into the pile and his finger went the wrong way, like broke his finger. Um, and I remember after that game, my parents go, we'll take it anywhere you want for dinner. like anywhere you want. Now, I could have picked anywhere. I mean, within reason, obviously, but we went to a place called Mr. B's down the street from us. It was actually
Mhm.
a play, and but I remember that moment because they not only were they proud of me, but we went and we had a kind of a celebratory dinner, right? So I remember that, and then later that night, my coach called me and goes, "John, I just want to say how you stepped up tonight was unbelievable, right?" Like, and I remember that because he picked the phone and made a personal phone call to me. Um, but like these moments, right? These moments, a big moment for me. And as much as I remember the big saves, I remember the dinner and the coach's call more vividly in my brain than the actual penalty shot in the penalty shootout in its entirety. Right. And every
Yeah.
player on earth experiences it that same way. We remember, those moments, but there's other things that happen within those moments that have a longer lasting impact on us. And that's why it's so
Mhm.
important. And not even about the psychological aspect, because I still believe in today's world that we are not as tough as we should be as individuals. I believe that we have lost this ability to really fight through these tough moments, and I can't put a finger on why that is, Nathan. I'm not going to sit here and say it's society, it's social media, it's a combination of stuff. We are not anywhere near as tough as we used to be. We're not.
Mhm.
We are a different and that's fine. We have to accept that and accept the new norm that, you know what? Kids just aren't gonna push through like they used to. We are a different group of people now, and that's fine. Back then, it didn't bring me down. I didn't get brought down by
Right.
that. I wasn't like, "Oh my god, my world's coming to an end," and, I didn't do that. I looked at it for what it was, and I moved on to the next thing because I had more important things to worry about. But looking back on it, I can say, "Hey, had my parents done that today, what would it have been like for me if I did that to my kids?" So,
Right.
inside the game, inside the headspace of a play, we have to change the episode. Inside the headspace, right? These moments are so moms and dads, remember that this is a game. Remember that these moments, as small as they may seem, or as large as they may actually be, will have different lasting impacts on your children. And be the most supportive parent that you can possibly be. Be their biggest cheerleader. If you do those
Yeah.
things, then the negative things they'll still be there. They're not going to go anywhere. But your child will have the same memories like I do. Where yes, my parents said some things to me growing up that were like, "Damn, why would you do that?" But they didn't curtail my ability to be who I am today. But I could see how the behavior of a parent, behavior of a coach could do that to an individual, especially in today's world. More so today than I think ever.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing to say.
Yeah.
Negative
Yeah, that I
memories stick
agree,
around much
Jimmy,
longer.
100%. Says the negative memories stick around much longer. They do. The negative memories stick with you forever, and then that's the in. I know I talk a lot about my dad, but he is my hero in a lot of ways. But the one thing that I'll say is like he was always really good about if he was ever critical, he would always phrase it and deliver it to me in a way that was more open, and then trying to offer friendly advice as to maybe how to do it differently. But the majority of the times when we got back in the car, yeah, we talked about the game, but we didn't really talk about my performance. If I asked him if I did okay, or if he's like, yeah, I watched you, I thought you did fine. He's like, but he didn't really dive into a whole ton, but he made sure to always lift me up when he needed to, and he was always there too. Because my dad didn't really have, I don't know if his parents ever went to any of his games. I certainly know I don't think his dad did. And so just being there and just being supportive, you don't think it goes a long way, but trust me, it goes a long way. And if you want to make a fool out of yourself, realize that memory will also last a lifetime. So this isn't just about right here and now. And that's the thing. You have to have perspective. Think about what is this direct action? What's the domino effect after this? And it's the people who are unable to do that, the ones that are going to continue to make those mistakes. So, but yeah, the negative ones 100% stick with you for longer.
They do, and again, you don't necessarily know what will be negative. I mean, simply saying, "Hey, what happened on that goal?" in itself is not a negative thing, but to me, it was. And perception is always reality, and I've learned that more in my lifetime than I think the average person might. And and those are things we can talk on a different day in a different episode. But when we talk about Throwback Thursday and looking at our past, I think there's nothing more important than talking about, especially in relation to what we talked about yesterday, about how many kids are playing soccer in this country on a yearly basis, how many are playing club ball, looking to go on to college and play at the highest level in this country. And then you take all that into account with the fact that they're having these memories along the way, good, bad, or indifferent. And those memories are going to be shaping them. Right. And if we're looking to
Yeah.
grow young women and young men into really fully functional adults, what are they getting in those memories? What are they getting?
Hmm.
Are they getting the a-hole coach who is berating them and attacking them? And, are they getting the supportive coach who is looking out for the team and the individual in a way that helps them be more successful, hit their goals? Our moms and dads being supportive and allowing their child to make mistakes and giving them the freedom and the autonomy to understand that those mistakes can have consequences, and at the same time learn from those mistakes and become a better individual both on the field and in life. If
Right.
those things are happening, then the back end, like right now, the good old days turn into the great future days, of
Right.
today. And if we can do those things, we have a better society, we have a better America, a better world, because every single one of our children are playing in some kind of an event around this country,
Hmm.
and let's make it better.
Yeah.
That is a wrap here on number 32. Episode number 32 is in the books. Tomorrow, Friday, is a day where we'll look back and take a look at some film stuff. We'll get back in the film room Friday. Me and Nathan will determine what that film room will look like. But either way, come back tomorrow. I'll be a part of Film Room Friday. No Peter today. That was a first for us. First for Peter. Well, I hope he's okay. Hope he's not sick. Hope you're okay there, Peter. We
I
miss you,
feel like
man.
everyone in the world is sick right now,
I know, right?
in one way or the other.
But either way, Peter wasn't here. Jimmy Co was here, so we appreciate Jimmy stopping by. But again, hit that subscribe button, like us, share this with your friends and family. Share this, share it. If you care, you'll share, and if you don't care, you won't share. So then don't share it because we don't care about you then. Either way, we are happy that you stopped by on this beautiful Thursday. Have a great rest of your day. For Nathan Wangler, I am Jonathan Turner. You've been watching Inside the Game right here on the National Soccer Network. This has been a presentation of the National Soccer Network. Yeah, it has.